He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
Welcome to The Alex Marlow Show. I am Alex Marlow, and I'm glad you are here with me. I have made it to the end of a really challenging week because no nanny. I said this earlier. I said it last week. So 7 straight work days in a row. And, it's tough in the middle of a book tour. When you're promoting Breaking the Law, you're out there, you're on show after show, some of my great colleagues in Salem, some odd TV appearances, some big radio hits. Still later in the day, I'm on the BBC later today. I'm on Mark Levin's radio show later today. So hopefully you guys will catch those and can, I'll try to post on my social as they come up. But it's been very busy, and I've been doing it without the benefit of my trusty sidekick, Nanny Carolina. So we're at the end. So I'm feeling good. It was going to be Hawaiian Shirt Friday, but the aforementioned BBC appearance, which is coming up pretty soon as I'm taping, has got me into pink tie Friday. But it's great. So I'm glad to be here. It's exciting news day in particular, and I've just been having a blast. Lately, we got just such great news. I know we talked about it briefly in yesterday's show, but I'd be remiss if I not mention how cool it is that Letitia James, that fine against Trump, that was clearly cruel and unusual. As I walk through specifically in Breaking the Law, and then days later, we learn that due to the Eighth Amendment, that she has gotten that fine vacated. And I think we got to take it to the next level. Stephen Gardner had a great call yesterday on the show. We need to see interest payments for Trump on the $175 million bond that they fraudulently took from him in the middle of a campaign. So it'll be thousands and thousands of dollars a day. So probably millions of dollars in total of interest on that. And I think he should get it. And I think we should demand it. Now it's time to keep our foot on the gas and make sure Tish James gets disbarred, that we vacate the clearly unlawful E. Jean Carroll judgment where she asked for $15 million and got assessed 80 plus interest, or Trump got assessed 80 plus interest. So this has got to be the beginning. It's investigation season, and your blueprint is Breaking the Law. So thank you for all of you for supporting the book and everything I'm trying to do. All right. Big news today, as you know, if you're not living under a rock, is that you've got the John Bolton's home was, I guess, raided by the FBI. FBI showed up at his house, and lo and behold, there's all this media there, and George Conway was there taking photos. I don't know how everyone figured it out, but in Bethesda, Maryland, his home and office was raided. Multiple agents entering the residence of John Bolton. The court authorized the search of Bolton's residence as part of a national security investigation in search of classified records. So important to note that this is law and order playing out. No one is above the law, as FBI Director Kash Patel posted to X, the Everything app. Bolton served for 17 months as Trump's national security advisor. Those of you who have been with me for a long time know that Bolton was a weekly guest on Breitbart News Daily with me when I hosted, and I think is truly a brilliant person, and Trump broke his brain. He was basically tasked with Trump's Venezuela policy when he got to national security advisor. And Bolton has had a lot of terrific ideas over the years. He's a very genius IQ type individual and is a expert communicator. But he was really terrible in the national security advisor role. His main task, it looked like, was Venezuela, and it was sort of a joke. I don't think they really made a dent into the regime in Venezuela. I don't think they were very effective dealing with Maduro and his regime. And then they installed this guy, Juan Guaido, as the legitimate president of Venezuela, but no one recognized Juan Guaido. And they even had Juan Guaido come to the State of the Union. And it was hugely embarrassing. And then eventually Bolton got the boot. But, Trump and I'm guessing they didn't get along well. I think I hadn't spoken with Trump directly about it, but I had spoken with people who had known Trump's opinion of Bolton before he got that job. And Trump actually wasn't a huge fan of I think he thought he was too much of a neocon, and he didn't like that he was a short guy with a funny mustache. I think that bothered Trump. And Trump cares about this stuff. And the goofy mustache, the cookie duster, as it is known, was not something that Trump liked very much. So he gets the job probably because he really is a super smart person and ambitious, obviously. Gets in there, does a bad job, and leaves, and he writes a book called The Room Where It Happened, where it's all just spilling details of stuff that took place, which was, I think, very uncouth. And he probably made millions of dollars doing it, which is very tempting. That's a lot of money to just write stuff that happened to you. And I've never had that issue myself, but it is, you see how this stuff comes to be. But it really was not a classy thing to do by Ambassador Bolton, essentially trying to trash the president of the United States, whom he worked for. I think it does undermine the institution of the presidency in general to do such a thing. So he did, made a lot of money doing it. And then immediately questions were asked whether or not this was a legitimate thing, that he was able to do this because, of course, it was based off of access to confidential information, or else he would not have been able to do any of this. So just the background, hawkish guy, backed Trump in 2016, which was probably helpful to him. And then he was appointed after a while. There's discussion of him coming in earlier, but then he ended up getting the job later in the administration. And then he crashed out, as again, for the aforementioned, I think, Venezuela scenario and maybe some others where the policy wasn't going as well as possible. So he writes this book. And then the Democrats actually tried to subpoena him during the impeachment, by the way, after finding out that the book was being written, because I don't think they understood it was going to be negative on Trump. And even though Bolton was a guy who was saying Trump should be a one-term president, he should be more of a transitional guy. And so the DOJ was considering using charges over use of classified material. Think for a minute about the drinks you grew up with that you still love today. The ones you got to have at the barbecue or in the break room. We're talking Coke, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi. For me, Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Cherry Coke, those new retro cans they got. So things are hot. These iconic brands are part of the American story, and they have been for over 100 years. When everyone's talking about American jobs lately, the companies behind these beverages have been walking the walk the whole time. America's beverage companies are making American products with American workers in American hometowns. They employ over 275,000 men and women in all 50 states. These are people who show up every day, do the work, and deliver for our economy and our communities, and deliver me delicious drinks. See for yourself everything that they're doing over there at wedeliverforamerica.org. That's wedeliverforamerica.org. So the Trump White House tried to block the book from coming out. The book ends up coming out, and the judge allowed for it, saying that this was not uncouth. And this happens when you have a national security job. You got to get stuff cleared by judges if you want to end up writing about it. But the judge did say that Bolton likely compromised national security, which was an interesting detail at the time. He likely compromised national security when he put the book out. And so him writing this stuff, it may have been legal. He may have been allowed to do it, but it was not. It was undermining of the presidency and of the country. And so Biden's Department of Justice closed the inquiry in 2021. So obviously this is a lawfare situation, and this connects very deeply to the stuff that I worked on in Breaking the Law, to understand how the legal superstructure is in place to help Democrats, to make it life easier for Democrats. So Biden DOJ closes it 2021. And then the same DOJ backed stuff like the bogus prosecution of Trump in Manhattan, which we have discussed numerous times, and the classified documents case in Florida, as well as J6 related cases that ended up in Tanya Chutkan's court. So the DOJ has been behind a lot of stuff that was negative on Trump, but let Bolton slide on this thing in the end, which is clearly part of why I discussed the superstructure. Is there is, whether it be coordinated literally or coordinated ahead of time, and then just this is how things play out. That's just the nature of lawfare in this moment. So since Trump has been back in office, the Boltons defended Trump on certain things like the suckers and losers hoax, but overall he's been in the media attacking Trump and Trump's foreign policy accomplishments. He's been minimizing them because Trump wants the Nobel Prize, and that's how Bolton is framing it. And I just don't know why that's relevant. I think Joel has talked about it, at least with us on Breitbart Confidential, if not on this show, Joel Pollack for us at Breitbart. But he has pointed out in the past, which is really important, that that's the point of the Nobel Prize, is to incentivize people to do good stuff, whether it be innovation in science or things like that, or to achieve peace for the world. One of the reasons to do this stuff is because you might get a reward in the end. So this is the key point. I asked Joel to help me do a little digging here, and he found this for me, which is really great. So the court refusing the block publication of Bolton's memoir, but here's the money quote. Upon reviewing the classified materials, as well as the declarations filed on the public docket, the court is persuaded the defendant Bolton likely jeopardized national security by disclosing classified information in violation of his non-disclosure agreement obligations. So he jeopardized national security. So that's just a remarkable thing. So even though you're allowed to publish it, but really you shouldn't. And you get paid a lot of money. Hand up, Simon & Schuster, my publisher as well. Not my same imprint, though. Not the conservative imprint that I'm on. But a $2 million advance was the reported advance. So there's a very good chance he's guilty here. That's enough of a kernel to look into it to see if he actually did anything improper. So again, with Biden dropping the prosecution while allowing for Trump prosecutions, that's the exact type of lawfare that I'm trying to draw the map of how this stuff gets created and why breaking the law is so important. And again, I know this is a sales pitch, sounds like a sales pitch, it is a sales pitch, fine. But the point is that I've given this a lot of deep thought. And if we allow for the lawfare superstructure to remain intact, then this is exactly what's going to take place, is that people are going to feel like, well, the judge is saying that I probably shouldn't put this out, but I'm going to put it out anyway because Trump's the bad guy, and that's how we roll. And that really is not how we should roll. We should have something that is greater than partisanship in this country. And Bolton, so blinded by his Trump hatred and the fact that he can make money dine out off of his Trump hatred, is clearly what propels him to do stuff like this. So here is the money quote here that I think is really important. I'll play some clips of President Trump and some of the left-wing hand-wringing about this, which was automatic online that we saw, is that right after this is important here. Right after the Mar-a-Lago raid, John Bolton was on TV talking about the Mar-a-Lago raid and whether or not it was legitimate, and let's hear what he had to say.
And I think it's important that everybody take a deep breath here. This is a very serious matter, and it would be better if we could let the legal process play out. I know that may be frustrating to some people, but the seriousness of it itself dictates that we try and proceed in the most orderly way we can.
Okay, you guys got that? That is all you need to know about John Bolton. Everybody ought to just calm down, whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump. Let the process work its way through. It's all you need to know. That's all there is. So we're going to see the process work its way through. J.D. Vance was already asked about this, and he suggested that there could be some broad concerns. He did an interview with Christian Welker. I caught this just right before I started to record the podcast today, so I don't have the audio, but I'll read you the transcript. Again, I'll let the FBI speak to that when asked about what's the root of it. Classified documents are certainly part of it, but I think there's a broad concern about Ambassador Bolton. They're going to look into it. And like I said, if there's no crime here, we're not going to prosecute it. If there is a crime, of course, Ambassador Bolton will get his day in court. That's how it should be. But again, our focus here is on, did he break the law? Did he commit crimes against the American people? And if so, then he deserves to be prosecuted. And this is all fine. It's all fair game. They moved the goalposts so bad on President Trump, and we all warned you guys of this stuff. Like all of us in conservative media space that said, if you want to have a standard where you're guilty until proven innocent, then you have to be in a position where you make sure that you keep power for the rest of eternity, because of course we're going to turn the tables on you. And that's exactly what's happening here. And if Trump does what I recommend in breaking the law, and I think he will, that he's only going to do this when he's really got legit cause. He's not going to do this just to harass someone because he annoys them on TV, or because maybe they donate in a way he doesn't like, or maybe they vote in a way he doesn't like, or something like that. If you confine it to people where you have legitimate suspicion that they may have done something extra legal or illegal, then you're going to have grounds to investigate and indict and prosecute, et cetera. So this one looks like, if you had to guess, is Bolton guilty of something, then the answer here, given what we know, what that judge's statement is, what Vice President Vance is saying, who's not shooting from the hip here on this, obviously, he was certainly probably aware that this is going to go down. If that's the case, you would assume that Bolton's in a bad spot. So anyone who's running to a microphone and saying this is illegitimate is clearly just doing performance art, because we saw the standard set by the Democrats. We see the standard that is being applied to President Trump. And that standard is that this is all fair game now. It's all fair game. And there used to be, I think, different rules to play by, and now there's not. and two can play this game, and they should. All right, Trump spoke about this a little bit. Misty pulled a clip. I've not heard this all the way through, but let's hear it together. Here we go.
And he's very bad at what he does, but he worked out great for me because every time he doesn't talk, he's like a very quiet person, except on television. If he could say something bad about Trump, he'll always do that. But he really doesn't talk. He's quiet. And I'd walk into a room with him with a foreign country, and the foreign country would give me everything because they said, oh, no, they're going to get blown up because John Bolton's there. He's not a smart guy, but he could be a very unpatriotic guy. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about.
Okay, so far, the audio's not great, but let me parse it. So he says that Bolton was quiet when walking in a room with foreign countries and they'd be nervous that they could get blown up because Bolton's in the room. That is totally a possibility, and I think that was probably an incentive to bring Bolton on, is that because Trump likes to be unpredictable with these foreign policy issues. And I think Bolton can make you unpredictable. And so I think that is because he is much more seen as a Bush era guy because he's ambassador to, was he UN ambassador? I think it was UN ambassador under Bush. And that was where he was known for, and a very articulate defender of a lot of Bush's foreign policy, which is not Trump's foreign policy, but could be scary to people if a guy like Trump is in charge and you got a guy like that next to him. I think that's interesting bargaining. Then Trump calls Bolton not smart. So Bolton's incredibly smart. So that's a great attack by Trump because it's just classic. It's just a classic way to undercut him, to hit him where it hurts, because I'm sure Bolton's identity is tied up to that he's got a big brain, and not that his decision making is very good, but that he's, on paper, he's got a high IQ. So I like that attack. And then Trump says he's not being very patriotic, and I think that's true. I think that the stuff that Bolton does in this book, I did not read the book, and I usually make a point to read these things. I did not get around to it, but I will tell you that it is 100%. True that this stuff is not patriotic, very, very selfish stuff to have written this book and to have cashed out on trying to do harm to a sitting president who you just served. Let's hear some more.
Nothing about it. I just saw it this morning. They did a raid.
Do you expect the DOJ to brief you on this?
Yeah, they'll brief me probably today sometime.
And the foreign minister.
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better this way.
All right, so I promised there'd be some meltdowns online. I don't know how much time I want to spend on some of these, but Missy pulled a few, but I will play Claire McCaskill on TV because this one was, she does some of the best performance art. Was she a senator? I think she was a senator. Missouri? Is that ringing a bell? I think that's right. Anyway, the point is that she's an MSNBC commentator, and unless she got fired, she might have been a different network for getting fired. But she does the performance art very well. I wonder if she was like a theater major growing up, but she's one of the people who always is able to nail the cadence to amp up the TV drama when she's saying something ridiculous. So let's see if she makes good on that for me here.
Yeah, it's chilling. It really is.
It is MSNBC, and you can already see it. She's ready to go.
Listen, John Bolton and I disagreed on many things back in the days when I was serving in public office, but I don't think very many people that know John Bolton would argue that his beliefs were intellectually sound. You could disagree with him, and that he gave a lot to this country in terms of time and his intellect and his work ethic. And clearly this is retribution. Clearly this is using the FBI in a way that not only tarnishes the FBI, but it tarnishes our country. I mean, this is what they do in countries where they don't have rule of law.
I mean, I'm just tempted to hold up a picture of the Trump mugshot. And I was thinking about this, and I'm not a big prop guy because I always find it somewhat, even though I understand it and I use it for content at Breitbart, I'm always reluctant to be one of the people, uses props to get attention. But I'm tempted just to print out the Trump mugshot photo, even though that was not the same case. But when they were doing the demonstrations where they raided Melania's underwear drawer to get state secrets, and we still don't know if there was anything bad that they got. And some of the documents were, obviously not a big deal. And Trump could have declassified all of them at any point. John Bolton has no declassification privileges whatsoever. So why is he even any classified documents at all if that's what they got? And who knows what else is out there? Who knows what he was using them for? So he could have been undermining the whole American presidency. So there could be some really significant fines here and penalties, conceivably, if this is the worst case scenario for Ambassador Bolton here is not good. It's really not good here. And so them acting like it's just retribution. Well, but did he violate the law or not? Like, that's the only question, because the retribution game, that's over. Like, we don't have to play that anymore. After Trump got mugshotted, after he got Barron's Peloton room raided, that word is meaningless. What motivated the FBI to look into this is irrelevant. What is relevant is whether or not he broke the law, and that's what's going to play out.
This is what happens when despots take over, like Putin. And John Bolton has always been critical of how...
You see that? That's some expert cable punditry. Just throw out the word Putin, and then everyone will know. It's a dog whistle. We hate Putin. We hate Putin. I'm doing a winky face, those of you just listening.
Of how, I mean, he about lost it when Trump wanted to invite the Taliban to Camp David. It's chilling. Now, do I think they're ever going to have evidence to convict this man of anything in a court of law with a jury? No, they won't. But they can make him miserable.
Yeah. All right. So, well, maybe they can convict him. Who knows what they got? Like, we don't know. We got to see the process play out. So Trump got convicted for a lot less whenever this is. I'll tell you that. His criminal conviction, which was based off of the fake Russia hoax. So, all right, you kind of love to see it in a way, just because it's nice to see that what Trump is doing is he is trying to make progress. He's trying to make progress on the promises made, promises kept. And we all know, the FBI knows, the DOJ knows, that if we do not start holding some people accountable after all of these years of all of these promises, that we're going to not have 2 tiers of justice in this country, and no one's been held to account. We've got to start holding some people to account. So, for me, was Bolton the highest on my list? I don't know if he was, but maybe he's the most guilty. Who knows? So we'll see pretty soon, and great. It's all great news, and I'm really excited about this prospect that they're trying to hold the people accountable who did the bad things. So it is Biden used his lawfare superstructure to try not only to just character assassinate, but try to jail his political enemies. And now acting like you can just go back because you guys lost, the Claire McCaskill side, it's not realistic. So we've moved on. So if you want to be a guy who is involved in undermining the American presidency at a very public level, you get paid millions of dollars literally to do it, you better be squeaky clean. So, and we'll see if Ambassador Bolton's squeaky clean. And if he's not, then, it's going to be, there'll be an interesting news cycle there. But Trump is trying to crack down on certain things. The latest one that I'm very excited about here is, I couldn't believe this when I first saw it. Definitely one of the ones where you got to do a double take, a little rub your eye, squinty eye cartoon thing. Over 55 million visa holders have been subjected to continuous vetting amid Trump administration's crackdown. It's a Fox News headline there that I'm reading, but it's everywhere. We have it at Breitbart. But 55 million visa holders? 55 million visa holders? It's very interesting because I had a conversation, and I'm not on my podcasting journey. I'm not in a place where I try to make a point to talk too much about conversations I have in my personal life, because I just find it to be, I don't know, it's a little bit uncouth to do that. But I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's concerned about his professorship job in the LA area, because a lot of his students are visa students, and they can't all get in the country now, and some of them are going to lose their visas, and it could put his job in jeopardy. This is a guy who does, international music, and is a really nice guy, and I really like him, but he's clearly on the left. And he was telling me that he's concerned about it. And my thought was just, well, why can't Americans get those spots? Like, it's not a big program. I mean, there aren't 30 Americans who would want to get those spots. Like, we need to import people to do those spots in American school. And then what is the point of American schools? Because it's not a money-making endeavor. This institution is funded by a super wealthy corporation. And I'm refraining from giving all the details just so people can't do too much internet sleuthing on it. But this university is funded by wealthy people and wealthy Americans who benefited from America's largesse to make their money. And it's like a charitable thing to do this school, which is a very highly regarded school for what it is. And why couldn't those slots go to Americans? And it's just, I understand the wanting to have some international students. I do think diversity can be a positive if it's managed in a appropriate way. But shouldn't American schools default to Americans? And then you can have some exceptions, but default, Americans, not the program goes away because Trump is questioning whether or not everyone's here on visas is legit. And when you think about it, we have maybe the reports are as much as half of these visas might not be legitimate. Of the 55 million, you could get a good cup of coffee a lot of places, but a great cup of coffee, that is special. And when you have it, it becomes just a part of your routine that you absolutely love. And for me, that routine now includes Crockett Coffee. They got the dark roast. That's my favorite. They got a mild, they got a light, they got decaf, they got a mushroom organic blend, they got K-cups. This is a product that is roasted in our nation's heartland, so you can feel just like a settler or like a tired podcaster and writer. Whatever it is, it's a delicious cup. And there's also some great people behind it. Buck Sexton and Clay Travis founded the company, great broadcasters, friends, and people who really know coffee, clearly. And they also donate. They give back. As part of the proceeds go to Tunnel to Towers Foundation, reminding you that the people at Crockett Coffee, they never forget. But for me, most important in this is the flavor. The flavor is excellent, and that's why I'm having a cup this morning, and I'll have another one probably later in the day because it's that good. CrockettCoffee.com. You put the code Alex in at checkout, 20% off. CrockettCoffee.com. Code Alex at checkout for 20% off. You won't regret it. Give it a shot. And then think about all the people who don't have a visa at all, much less a lapsed one or one that's not in good standing. So Marco Rubio is blocking new visas from migrant truckers. That's good. The point is that the State Department is going to move fast here, and I like that they're trying to get stuff done. They're trying to review things. I don't even know how you go through this process. Maybe it's an AI thing and get you started. And I'm sure there'll be some mistakes along the way, and we'll all have to eat a bunch of crow on that stuff when it happens. But overall, there is a huge positive development that's happening, is that the administration is fearlessly doing things that are not popular with the establishment media. You knew the media was not going to be happy about the Bolton raid. They're doing it. They're not happy with the visa number. They're going to look into it. It's just too many. You want to tell me the Great Replacement isn't real? This is the whole problem with immigration, is that if you quiz people on how many people you think is an appropriate number of immigrants to be in the country, then inevitably the number that is going to come back to you is going to be a lower number than what the immigration rate is now. So whatever number you want to throw out as whatever you think is an appropriate number of people to import in the country, we've gone so far beyond that. And not just with legit visas, but visa overstays and the illegal immigrants who've just come here and been allowed to get absorbed in the country. So these are all, again, common sense practices. And I hope people hear this not as Trump cracking down on foreigners, but that why are there so many visas, especially considering so many of them are going to be fraudulent. So a State Department spokesperson says that the department's continuous vetting includes all or more than 55 million foreigners who currently hold valid U.S. visas. So these are ones with the valid ones. So indications of a potential ineligibility, which includes things like any indicators of overstays, criminal activity, threats to public safety, engaging in any form of terrorist activity, or providing support to a terrorist organization. That's like these people come in as our guests, they overstay their visas, and then they go and protest America on our campuses after they got a spot that could have gone to an American. So it's all outrageous if you think about it, but the question is, will people think about it? We'll think about the Marlow Show, Breitbart News, we will. But it does depend on people actually giving this some thought. The same way, the more I think about the DC crime crackdown, the more it's an obvious one. The more you think about it, that Trump is trying to crack down on murderers, violent criminals, restoring law and order. And we're seeing this massive drop in crime statistics, which does give away that it's appropriate. This is what was one thing that we learned, just the numbers of what we were seeing over the past few weeks. How long has it been? A couple weeks? But we're seeing violent crime down 22%, carjacking down 21%, robberies down 46%, and other indicators are all down as well. Why is that? Because there was a problem. These numbers couldn't come down if there wasn't a problem that needed to be solved. That's what Trump does. He solves problems. He wants to solve problems, what he's trying to do. He's president. So really awesome and great news. And then we learned that Trump is actually thinking, is there other places he can go? I've been calling for this on the show, that I sometimes get to plead ignorance because I'm not an attorney, but it would be my hope that President Trump would find a way to extend some of these policies that are benefiting Washington, D.C., and be able to turn those into things that can be fanned out across the nation. And I, as someone who lives adjacent to a city that is overrun by crime and Democrat rule has betrayed the city that I grew up in, Los Angeles, it would be nice if it was a better place for my family to walk around on the weekends, and a safer place to go on dates with my wife at night. So maybe he could come here eventually, but he's apparently chosen he's revealed it's a big reveal. What's going to be the next city where Trump is going to put his focus? And here it is. Check it out.
The regular military, which we're willing to do. We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please.
Tell me you're not having fun. It's so good. And he's got a hat on that says Trump was right about everything, which works so well on this story, because this is one where he'll be right. And then as time goes on, people on the left are going to start going, ooh, we could have got that one. We could have seen that one coming. Yep. We should have been on the side of enforcing the law, the crackdown. That would have been better. And it's also, if you saw the visuals on that, he is the FIFA trophy up there. And it reminds me, I didn't pull the audio of this, but a reporter asked if Trump was going to take part of some FIFA events that are going on. I do not follow soccer. I do not have time for FIFA events. We have some basic coverage of Breitbart. That's all I can offer you. But Trump's response was apparently, I may play. I see the money these players make. I'm a very good athlete. I may put on shorts. I look extremely good in shorts. And this is what the president said in the Oval Office, talking about FIFA. The guy's a blast. And he's getting stuff done. So the question is, will Democrats go back from their insane policies and start having sane policies? And we just don't know. We have a story from John Nolte, Breitbart today, how the left is now losing language like birthing person, which is anti-woman, where you don't refer to women, you refer to, people with cervix, people with vaginas, birthing person, because biological males who convert to female cannot give birth. Thus, they're not a birthing person, but they can be a woman now. And they're trying to cut down on the LGBTQIA+. And you guys have heard my jokes over the years where I would add to the plus, the pregnant man emoji. There's one where I would say we should add that to the list. You could do 2-spirit, 3-spirit, 4-spirit, 5-spirit, 6-spirit. I mean, you can keep adding the spirits. So I think that's important. So I think it is it really is a new development that the left is realizing we did go too far. And this is a win. So I'm sad to see it go, but it does feel like this is a overall positive. This is the third way a leftist think tank put out a memo saying to people who wish to stop Trump and MAGA, they need to blacklist 6 categories of stuff. Therapy speak, so where it sounds like your therapist's office, seminar room language, organizer jargon, gender orientation correctness, the shifting language of racial constructs, and explaining away crime. See, the explaining away crime, this is perfect. So I didn't even get that far in the article. I'm just checking it out now. But that's exactly my point, is that the left would rather explain away that they've abandoned law and order rather than just start enforcing the laws. So it used to be that both parties would compete to see who could enforce the laws the best. Now there's one side that they only use the laws as a political tool, thus the book Breaking the Law. That's the whole point. The law is broken by the left. They broke it. Joe Biden in particular, but really the whole apparatus. So there could be some real upheaval here because still at this moment, in order to win a Democratic primary, you still have to be woke and left, but that might not necessarily be what the party establishment, the real power players want to be their future. So you look at stuff like this, these Minnesota Democrats have now revoked Omar Fateh's mayoral endorsement in Minnesota because of alleged misconduct, but he's too radical. He's a radical Somali who's had some of the most extreme language of anyone in Democrat politics. And he could be on the path to be the mayor of a major city, and all of this could turn into a huge embarrassment for Democrats. Recall, they have a super woke guy in there now, Jacob Fry, is one of the wokest of the woke. And that's not woke enough because there's always a level of wokeness the left has never done. They never sleep. They're like The Girl in the Ring. If you guys have ever seen The Ring, great horror movie. Especially great because the premise is so absurd it should never work, and yet it does. But the whole problem is that the girl will never stop. The evil girl who does all the murders. Like, she'll never stop. You can't help her. You can't stop her. She just keeps going. That's the left. They don't stop. They will come out of the TV and eat you. That's what they will do. All right. So yeah, but they said he broke the rules, but we know that's not what it's about. They know he's too far. He's too far radical. But who will get the memo and when? Gavin Newsome. Recall, Gavin Newsome tried his podcasting where he was having on Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and Michael Savage. He's trying to have intelligent conversations. Oh, I'll mention, I'm on Michael Savage's Newsmax show this Sunday. Those of you who like Dr. Savage, why wouldn't you? He's amazing. So his Newsmax show over the weekend, I will be on that. And we've taped that already. It's great. It's long form. Do a deep dive on stuff, and we go back a ways, so it's always good to talk to him. But he was talking to all these conservatives, and his cred with the Democrats was going down. So now what he's doing is he is talking like a tough guy, and he's got the people out there on social media, these woke people who are trying to make up for his lack of record. He's got no record. I mean, he's done everything that he does is a failure. Even the green stuff. He promises high-speed rail. We don't get that in California. We're going to do water desalination. We don't get that. We're going to clean up traffic. We don't get that. We're going to fix the airport. We don't get that. Anything that is actually important to the taxpayers. Crime goes up. It's the cost of living goes up. We had a huge budget surplus. Now we have a budget deficit. It's one of these things where the guy's record, other than putting more men on women's sports podiums, what has he done as governor? And he's been in public life in California for 25, 30 years. He's got no record. But he's got an epic trolling game now on social media, and now he's starting to ramp up the tough talk. So he did not get the memo that the third way is putting out. So he says he's going to punch sons of bitches, Trump and Republicans, in the mouth. So now he's using violent rhetoric. And I'll tell you, Newsome is not a overweight guy, but I don't think he hits the gym that much. I think he's very skinny. Certainly doesn't eat a lot of protein. He's not keeping up with his protein. So I don't know. I don't know how hard of a punch he would throw. Maybe he would. Maybe he's a real tough guy. But it's just all paper tiger stuff. And this is the type of stuff where you would think you would get visited by a Secret Service if you're doing this stuff, but we just stopped that. We should have, Comey should have been visited with his 86-47 thing that he did. But this is where he's calling the swear word, using bitches. We're fighting fire with fire, he says, which is for a guy who half of his state just burned down. Pick a new analogy. Maybe get some of your social media geniuses to write some new speeches for you. So we're fighting fire with fire. I'm going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth. Does that work for any of you? Is that convincing anyone? Is that firing up the left-wing base? I don't know, but he's betting big on that. All right, I will say over at the Breitbart Fight Club Day, my Breitbart Confidential interview is with the one and only amazing John Carney, who just came back from California. He was on vacation, and we talk about the future of the perhaps $8 gas prices. Trump said he will fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook if she's not stepped down after allegations of mortgage fraud. I mentioned this because we do more detail with Carney, but I'll give you some here. That Lisa Cook, basically, it seems like she's busted for mortgage fraud. She's taken out mortgages as if they were her primary residence, claiming something was her personal residence, even though it seems clearly it wasn't. And she's supports policies Trump doesn't like, and Trump is saying she's got to go. So she should resign because she seems like it's a clean bust here. So Bill Pulte, who's appointed himself the mortgage fraud crackdown expert in the Trump administration, he offered this criminal referral to her. And Trump said, if she doesn't leave, I'm gonna punt her. So let's see if he can do that. I'm sure he can. But that could be cool. Jerome Powell has relented, it appears, at a huge Jackson Hole speech, which is the main topic. So with Carney today, if you want that more content, I can't recommend enough Breitbart Fight Club for our premium members. Jerome Powell's now opened the door to rate cuts in September. This is good news. We were hoping he'd get there, but a big speech at Jackson Hole, which is pretty odd thing the Kansas City Fed does. They do an annual conference in Jackson Hole, one of the most beautiful places in the world in Wyoming. And just to remind you that the people who control the mechanisms of our economy are just unrelatable to normal Americans. Everyone's starting the school year, a big stressful time of year, 1,000 degrees most places. And they're off to Jackson Hole to hear Jerome Powell speak about what's going to happen to your money. But it seems like he's relenting to some of Trump's pressure. And it does seem as though we could be on the road, hopefully, God willing, towards a rate cut coming up, which is long overdue. So the market, of course, reacted positively to that. Dow up about 1,000 points, or 850. I'll be specific. About 400 in the NASDAQ. So it's all good news. So people are hoping for the best here, and I'm hoping for the best because it is high time that we got there. And it would be very nice if we could see some rate cuts. I think it'd be good for America. We got some more winning. Canada's dropping most U.S. tariffs. I saw a report that with a prognostication that we could see a massive reduction in our national debt, or at least the deficit, due to Trump's tariffs. So a lot of smart economic people are suggesting the tariffs are working, and they could end up working even better. Going to Breitbart News, we are on top of a lot of Cracker Barrel content with the woke rebrand. We discussed this with Stephen on yesterday's show, but it really does look like this managerial class who has taken over so many of our corporations and are trying to wokeify them for a Manhattan-based audience, even though there are no Cracker Barrels in Manhattan, and they just think that that's, liberals in Manhattan is who should control America's, all of America's corporations, even if those corporations, that's not their target demo. Is just a cardinal sin of business. Not to say I'm the world's best businessman, but it just seems like an obvious one. And yet still, that is how they proceed on the woke left, because just people don't push back on them forcefully enough. So there you go. That's all I'll get to today. There's still a ton of other stuff that's out there, but if you need more content, I've got recommendations for you. Get the Breaking the Law audiobook. I've been listening to a few chapters. It's really good. Stay up to my social media feed and trying to post most of my hits. Got some big ones on Dinesh D'Souza's podcast recently. Again, the Michael Savage show coming out this weekend. I taped with Larry O'Connor, my colleague at the Salem-owned Town Hall. That'll come out next week. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up. Mark Levin tonight again, and BBC later as well. So which I got to go check in over there. So I'm going to run. Thanks to Misty. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday.